Okay, I'm at 9481 Reading Road. This is Evendale in Cincinnati, Ohio, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a multi-unit building, apartment building. This is kind of a strange one. We're looking for any structural issues in the line, anything that would be concerning to the buyer. But this has a couple pump systems that were installed by the Metropolitan Sewer District. And so I have some information that I will also provide with the report. So you have, essentially, this is where our access is going to be. There's the clean out, and I believe that is gravity from there on. This is a sealed pump. You can see there's some MSD stickers on here that they were telling you to call them if it needs to be cleaned from here down because there's a pump in here. And so you don't want to get down in there and damage the pump trying to clean out that line. Here is the power to it. Now it looks like it pumps it. If you're looking at this again, here is the clean out that we're going into. It looks like the line here is coming from the sink. This is a sink line, so it's some kitchen sinks. And then this line right next to it is the ejector line that pumps it back into this line. So what we're hoping that from here down is all gravity, and we're also hoping that this doesn't discharge while I have this open, because there's no way for me to turn it off because they have it locked out with a lock, with a master lock. So they do that because they don't want it to discharge or not discharge and then back up. And so we'll try to make this quick, and I will try to stand back as far as I can to do this inspection. And if I hear anything, it's going to be great. See, it looks like there's some wet wipes and stuff already hanging down from where that discharge is. So that's something you want to steer clear of, is any wet wipes. The line does go out the rear based off the maps, and so the old stacks that are here, there is an old one right next to it, right next to the one I'm in, and that old one is cast iron, and that comes right over into this, and so you're not really missing much there. But looks like we've gone into clay now, which would have been the original line. And that other stack also comes over into this pump. On the other side, you can see the cuts that go through. So we're not able to inspect all the lines just because of lack of access. The pump setup is, a lot of it is above ground hanging, so you can see it. This looks like we may have changed into concrete here. Looks a little rough. And it goes into back into PVC. This is the exterior PVC. It's SDR35, so there was a repair made here also. We have a T in there to the right that we're coming up on. Maybe that comes from the lines from the other side. I have a map that shows the configuration of all this and a drawing that I got from the sewer district. It just kind of shows how this is all configured in the building, so the potential owner can take a look. Here in a second, just because somebody flushed down that other stack. Thankfully, it's the other stack. But if anybody, you can't get everybody in the whole place to not use any plumbing all at once. But so far, the line looks great. I mean, you get a bunch of spider webs, which is a good indication that the water level doesn't get any higher than that. See, it looks like it's about halfway up at the most. pipe. This is 6-inch clay. Clay is a good material. It's very hardy, but it doesn't, the problem is there's a lot of short sections. They're about 3 feet in length, and so they do, the biggest thing we see is root intrusion. You can see the water in the bottom. It's not anything crazy. It just means the line is flat. That's why all this is holding. So start getting down. Should be heading towards the main. Looks like all the pump system and everything based off of the notes I've got from MSD is that was all installed due to backups caused by the storm. I believe this is all combined here, and so with it being combined under heavy rain, sometimes they'll overload the system. So this was all installed to mitigate that. Out through here, I can't tell if I'm at the main or what's going on. The water's not deep because I can see flashes. But I can't tell if I turn and drop into the main or it's just because there's like some patches that were made in this area. Hopefully, once we get out here, we'll be able to tell. It's not a long way, so I feel like I may already be in the main. That's why there's so much water, but it's hard to tell. Oh, there we are right there, and that's partially why. If you notice, we're coming in at the side of the main. It looks like we're coming in almost at water level. You can see it drops down a little bit, but this is a pretty big main. We were able to make it all the way to the sewer main. I didn't see any major issues. There is some bellying going on. The line is flat, and it's probably been that way for a very, very long time. But the main issue that they had, it seems like, was that this would fill up with storm water and back up into this apartment building because it was the lowest spot back here. And so what they did is they installed these pumps, and with those pumps there should be backflow preventers. Looks like there's a separate sump pump for the drainage that goes into a box drain along the whole back of the garage, and then that drops into a sump pump that's on the rear left corner. That's if you're facing the building from the front. And then just in front of that there is this dirty pump, and this handles sanitary. So I'm assuming that they mixed it, that they tried to separate it as best they could. They give themselves a holding tank for the storm and also for the sanitary all in one place, which is good. But at any rate, the line itself looks pretty good. It's just flat, and so like I said, it's constantly taking water because this is an apartment building. So we're constantly getting flow. So we don't know how much this would actually drain in those instances, but let's say from about 126 feet, as you can see flashes here like that. See any major structural issues. The biggest belly was right into here, 117, and so because of that, I may be able to try a bigger standoff and see if we can get the camera out of the water. 117 down to about 100 feet is all. And it's barely, it's got to be about an inch, inch and a half of water in at least a 6-inch diameter pipe. So between 100 and 120 feet, we'll say. With the ejector pumps, that's also going to help, because that'll build up and allow push everything through here a little bit. Good news is there was no solids in those areas. But I think what I'm going to do is I'll pull back, see if I can get a larger, it's got a big clean out on it, so I'll see if I can get a large standoff on the camera. So hopefully it'll kind of lift it up a little bit higher and be able to see out of the water in those areas and just make sure that there's no structural issues on the top of the pipe. There were no indications of that. It would give me resistance if there was kind of buildup of stuff in that area, or a broken pipe or something like that. I'd be able to feel not only the resistance but any issues that any major structural issues would be pretty evident just by the way that I would have to push and pull through it. The majority of the line looks like it's in really good shape, though. I mean, there's been a couple of repairs, which probably has something to do with some of the stuff that they've had issues with in the past, as far as storm and all that. But all this does look really good. Now, of course, we won't be able to inspect every little line as it comes into this. It's mainly just the line exiting the building. We can only get in the access points we have. So I am pulled all the way back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to put that standoff on here, but in the meantime, I'm actually going to close this in case the pump goes off. I don't know how often or how likely it is to go off. So I'm going to make sure that if it does, we've got it closed. So I'm going to pause the video and go switch out that camera head piece. Okay, we got a big discharge. Big standoff. Thinking about it. Still got it on my mind. I just don't want this thing to discharge with it open and me near it. So this is a full standoff. So we're hoping that we can get through it. It bends a little bit, but it should hold the camera close to the center of the pipe, and that's what we want. The problem is that it makes it harder to rinse the camera off in the water that may be along the sides, or maybe along the bottom. But really what we're getting to is we really are more concerned about out there between 100 and 120 feet. Get a look at that area. So as we push out, we're not going to worry about all this. We've seen all this and it's in pretty good shape. Our biggest concern was about 100 feet out to about 120. All these spider webs sometimes can be a problem. As you know, if you've ever walked through one, if they get too stuck on the camera lens, they can cause obstruction to the visual inspection. Make sure that water level is as low as I thought it was, and that there's nothing going on the top here, right in through here. about half the diameter of the pipe, so it's a pretty good belly. So we'll be able to tell. It's not, there's no obstruction to me pushing, which is good. Looks like I'm building up something. I think I've scraped a few things along the bottom. Back out to the main. And we're going to pull back. So yeah, we have at least we were able to see that it's a pretty good area between 100 feet and about 120 feet. There's about a 2-inch belly. So we'll stop at about 120. Take a look, and we'll stop about 120. I'm going to get a mark out there just to kind of locate where the area is, and then we'll do the same thing at the top side of that belly. It may be off the property, so it may be MSD's problem if it ever does become an actual issue. But right now we're going to pause the video and get a locate. Alright, so it's about 15 feet from the main, so this may be on MSD. It's off the property. It's in the rear in that paving company. It's in there. It's actually in their yard, in their fenced-in yard over there. And it's hard to tell how much of this would drop if it didn't have, water going through it. So I think it's, for the most part, you can see here, it looks like it's dropped a little bit. Top level of it. When you drag back with this thing on, it kind of forces the camera to go up towards the top. But there you go. You can kind of see what we're looking at there. A little tiny bit of, this is all in the pavement. So it's like something's going to come out. And there it goes. Try to continue 100 feet here, and I'll get another mark. That's where we have the biggest issues. That's where the deepest part of the belly starts. Or that's where the belly starts, I should say, right there. You can see the level of that white stuff kind of shows where it sits a lot because that's where the grease is. So I'm going to pause the video again. I'm going to get a pause the video again. I'm going to get another locate where the belly begins. Alright, so both on the other side of the fence off the property. So this may be MSD's issue because the main is back there on their property, so it's pretty hard to tell. But until you really have an issue out of it, I don't think they wouldn't do anything anyway. But I will mark on there that there is a belly between 100 and 120 feet on the video. But I mean, structurally the line looks pretty good for the most part. And that belly, as long as it's not leaching out where the water escapes and leaves all the solids high and dry, that shouldn't cause any major backups or anything. It would be, as long as there's not all these wet wipes and stuff that are apparently going into the ejector pump. As long as those are at a minimum, I haven't seen anything in here while I was pushing, so that's good. But as long as you flush what you're supposed to, which is basically just toilet paper and natural materials, those bellies can go unnoticed for a very long, very, very long time. Not cause any issue because the water will just overtake it and continue flowing. saw all this in the first time through, so now we're just staring at the, like I mentioned, when you drag it back, it kind of forces the camera to look straight up at the ceiling. But overall, it's looking pretty good. Close to coming back into the PVC here. And so, coming back out of the stack. Ugh. Try to pull this stuff out of here, and this is all the stuff that's stuck on the from the ejector pump. I'm gonna have to try to pull that off, throw it out in the trash. But at any rate, the line itself looks like it's in pretty good shape structurally. You just have the belly off the property, and the other, and so that can be evaluated. You can have that evaluated by MSD, but as long as it's not causing an issue, an active issue, they won't do anything about it. But it is marked with green paint and depths. The high end, or the upstream side of it, is 3'2", and the downstream side of it is about 3'9" to the invert, so it's pretty shallow. And so traffic may have caused that line to sink a little bit. But overall, the line is in pretty good condition for its age, and with the ejector pumps and stuff helping out, it's a big thing to help push the water through the line. So, but that's going to end the inspection at 9481 Reading Road in Cincinnati, Ohio.